Hello. In the feudal Middle Ages, riding services, including delivering messages, were owed by tenants as part of holding land. From the late 12th century, the king's messengers were empowered to commandeer horses for a nominal payment. Failure to comply was punishable by law. Under Henry VIII, the delivery of royal dispatches became more organised, and the office of Master of the Post was established in 1516. Sir Brian Tuke was appointed to the role with the task of organising a national network to handle the King's correspondence. Regular routes are set up with stages or posts approximately 20 miles apart, enabling riders to operate in relays. Each local postmaster kept at least 3 horses. The monarch's personal system was opened to public use in 1635 by a cash-strapped Charles I. Gradual improvements to roads in the early modern period, including the introduction of turnpikes operated by a board of trustees on which travellers were charged and the money raised used for maintenance, led to better travelling conditions. Coaches, closed carriages with facing seats inside a four-wheeled passenger compartment, harnessed to a team of 2 or more horses controlled by a coachman, are thought to have been introduced to Britain from France during the reign of Elizabeth I by Henry Fitzalan, 19th Earl of Arundel. In Memoirs and Observations, a record of journeying through England published in 1698, French traveller Maximilien Misson describes, "There are coaches that go to all the great towns by moderate journeys, and others which they call flying coaches that will travel 20 leagues a day or more. But these don't go to all places." The bodies of early coaches were hung on leather straps or chains, providing a very basic form of suspension. Travelling the Staffordshire moorlands, retired Admiral John Leveson Gower declared, "Sailing across the Bay of Biscay in a storm was preferable to being in one of these primitive coaches." Steel sea springs, introduced in the 18th century, made for a far more comfortable journey. A 1754 advertisement for the Edinburgh Courant, a stagecoach service between the Scottish capital and Dean Street in London's Soho, announced the introduction of a new genteel 2-end glazed coach machine hung on steel springs, exceedingly light and easy. The switch to mail coaches carrying an armed guard, rather than individual postboys who were targeted by highwaymen, was the result of an initiative by John Palmer, a theatre manager with experience of arranging carriage services to transport props and actors. Palmer proposed exploiting the turnpike network using fast coaches, making a swift exchange of horses every 10 miles. In 1784, a trial run from Bristol to London, a journey of around 120 miles, was completed in just 16 hours, leaving Bristol at 4 p.m. and arriving in London at 8 a.m. the following morning, half the time taken by individual postboys. The government was convinced, and by the following year, mail coaches were operating between London and Carlisle, Exeter, Gloucester, Holyhead, Leeds, Liverpool, Norwich, Poole, Portsmouth and Worcester. In 1786, the service was extended into Scotland. All private enterprise, with coaches, horses, drivers and guards supplied by contractors. Good profits were made from carrying the mail along with paying passengers. Average speeds of 10 miles per hour were regularly achieved. Competition for franchises was fierce. Mail coaches were exempt from turnpike tolls. A blast on a post horn from an approaching coach alerted gatekeepers to clear the way, allowing the vehicle to speed through. The horn was also used to warn other road users to move over and to make coaching inns aware of their imminent arrival. Official issue was a 3-foot-long valveless instrument known as the yard of tin. Many guards supplied their own copper or brass horn that made a more musical sound. By 1830, elliptical springs on each wheel, improved coaches and better roads meant vastly more comfortable and faster journeys. Regular stagecoach services ran between major towns and cities, Fast flying coaches offered express services. The Newcastle flying coach to London regularly completed the 285-mile journey in just 9 days. Horse-drawn coaches on the main long-distance routes were replaced very quickly with the coming of the railways, but in towns and for short journeys, horse-drawn transport proliferated. A variety of carriages and different regional models are available. Choices were based on practicality, status and fashion. The Broom, named after a model built in 1838 to the specifications of politician Henry Broom, was a four-wheeled carriage drawn by a single horse with a box seat for the driver, seats for 2 passengers inside, plus fold-down seats for 2 children. Dog carts were 2-wheeled vehicles accommodating 4 passengers, drawn by either a single horse or a pair. Self-drive options included 2-wheeled gigs, curricles and chases, and the 4-wheeled open phaeton. At the luxury end of the market was the landau, a 4-wheeled carriage with a fold-away fabric top. Most famous of the cabs for hire for single journeys was the hansom cab, patented by architect Joseph Hansom in 1834, a 2-wheeled vehicle with a single horse driven from the rear of the cab with room for 2 passengers, 3 to squeeze. A low centre of gravity made for a balanced ride and good manoeuvrability. As many as 11,000 hansom cabs were operating in London by 1900, adding to problems of congestion and street fouling. A prediction attributed to the Times in 1894 forecast, in 50 years' time, every street in London will be buried under 9 feet of manure. Within a decade, motorised cabs had appeared, and by 1920, horse-drawn cabs were an increasingly rare sight in the capital. The last licence in London was issued in 1947. Mechanisation had taken over after centuries of reliance on animal horsepower. The finest collection of working coaches is held at the Royal Mews, Buckingham Palace, but carriages from the bygone heyday of horse-drawn travel can be seen elsewhere, for example in the Mossman collection in Luton, the Swingletree collection in Diss, the Tyrwhitt Drake Museum Maidstone and the National Trust Carriage Museum at Arlington Court near Barnstaple. Next time, more on working horses in towns and horse-drawn machinery on the farm. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like and subscribe buttons and click on the notification bell to be informed when the next video is available, or you can subscribe by clicking on the rose window over my shoulder.